talking about animal cruelty or animal testing. And whenever people hear about animal testing, most of the time we think about the cosmetics industry and how poorly they treat their animals they test on. Many cosmetic companies care very little for the well-being of the animals they test on and often kill them after the tests are complete. And the worst part about it is that the FDA doesn't even require that the products are tested on animals, and often tests are unnecessary. However, there are other forms of animal testing that are used for different purposes and goals in mind. And what I want to make clear is that animal testing involved in medical and medicinal research is necessary in order to increase the standard of living for not all humans, but other animals as well. When I say animal testing, I mean when animals are used as test subjects to discover the effects of a harmful or potentially harmful substance on mammals to better understand how mammals react to given a certain situation. And so I'm going to be talking about how animal testing is necessary in a way that is oftentimes the only way to collect certain pieces of data. I'm also going to be talking about a subject of science called toxicology, which is testing for certain chemicals and how dangerous and potentially dangerous they are and what side effects they can have. And I will also be talking about how animals are necessary to provide a better test sample. So my first point, that animal testing enables scientists and researchers to gather data that they would otherwise have no way of getting. Things like medication, when scientists are developing things like aspirin, the medication is tested on mice to figure out a certain amount of medication per weight of the mouse or other animals. And they can directly take this ratio and apply it to humans, so they don't have to worry about causing irreversible damage to human test subjects. And in a newspaper article published in the UK in 2004, it stated that in a survey of 501 doctors, 9 out of 10 respondents say it is fairly or very important to test new drugs on animals to aid medical progress. And as far as other medical advances go, mammals have also been crucial in developing treatments for diabetes, HIV, cancer, heart disease, and skin disease. And as far as diabetes goes, the use of insulin to help alleviate the symptoms of diabetes and keep it under control would not be available if not for animal testing. We came by that information when we discovered and were researching animals on how they dealt with the same issues that we were having with diabetes. And additionally, swine, like pigs, have very similar cardiovascular systems to humans and skin systems to humans. And because of this, they have been prime test subjects and have led to major breakthroughs in treatments for skin and heart diseases. My second point, that the whole toxicology thing, there are animal testing that is going on to help develop treatments for possible biological agents that could be used by terrorists in the future, including viruses and poisons. So this would be, examples would be like biological warfare on, the war field, or a poisonous substance being shipped over to the U.S. and released. Scientists can use animals to predict what kind of substances they would be using and how to treat it better, so they can have an immediate response. And fairly certain, many people know about the controversy of MSG and how it has been a food additive for a while. And there is, through animal testing, scientists have discovered that MSG has been proven to cause obesity in rats because it leads to a 40% increase in their appetite. Because of this knowledge, companies have stopped putting MSG into their food. Animals also provide a more versatile and plentiful subject sample than testing on humans for two main reasons. There are very few people who are willing to come forward and offer their lives for testing, and this sample is far too small and far not diverse enough for the scientists to draw any trustworthy conclusions from. Animals can also be bred specifically for testing, which dramatically decreases the size of any test that is enacted, and thus allowing for researchers to find more accurate results regarding the negative effects of substances that tests could have. In comparison to the cosmetic industry, when animals are researched in scientific labs, they have specialized professional people making sure that these animals suffer as little as they possibly can. Thank you.
John, remember to give me your draft outline and final outline later. Okay. I know what you're doing at the beginning is setting up a little bit of background for us, but I did think that you got a little lost in all of the stuff about the cosmetic testing and all those kinds of things. And if people weren't paying close attention, they might have even missed the proposition that you had there. I heard it and I thought, oh, that's a sudden shift in what you're talking about, so it was pretty clear to me. And then you did structure the supporting points, so I thought that that part of the speech started off pretty well. Now, the secondary claims that you're presenting, they aren't all claims. In fact, the first one is stated as a claim, but the second two are just sentences. They aren't really making inferences. They just tell us what the subject area is, and you need to be making an inference on those claims. And so that's a little bit of a problem. For the clarity purpose for the audience, you always want to be consistent about making those claims. I did think that you signposted them in the body of the speech pretty well, except for the third point. I think the third point needed a clearer transition. I knew where you were on the first and the second point. I remembered reading your outline, and that's what I knew what the third point was, but I don't know that listeners would have automatically been able to pick that out, and so you want to be a little bit sharper about that. It seems like there's probably a lot of information here, but the vast majority of it is not cited very clearly. I got one reference to a newspaper article in the UK, and that's about the last time I heard a source citation. I have no doubt that you've gone to a variety of sites to get this information, but for instance, the example that you talk about with diabetes, where did you get that information? How do you know that's true? That's a good example, but I don't know whether or not to believe it. I mean, I assume it's probably true. I'm not jumping to the conclusion that you're lying, but like I said, you have to build credibility, and one of the ways that you build credibility as a speaker is by offering proof for your claim, telling us where this information came from, that it's not just, I heard someplace, or I believe this to be true. I know that you researched it, but without citing it, you're undermining your argument and potentially creating that, kind of creeping plagiarism thing too, because it sounds to me like there's a lot of material here that's being quoted, and if you're not attributing the source to it, then you're presenting it as your own, and it's not your own, and you've got to be very careful about that sort of thing. So structurally, I thought it was pretty easy to follow, maybe a little bit of problem on the third point. The evidence citation was not as complete as it needed to be. You do look a little nervous up there while you're speaking. You got the shuffly feet, and you're not always making eye contact with folks. And I think that that's one of those things. If you had the information cited a little bit more clearly, maybe practiced a little bit more, those would be easy things to fix. All right, thank you.